Hello, folks. Hi, folks. Just as the last few folk are coming in, my name's David. I'm one of the staff team here at Orangefield. I have to do the health and safety bit. Sorry about that. In the unlikely event that the fire alarms will go off, they are loud. You will hear them. Please take a note of the emergency exits nearest to you. We have 2 emergency exits to my right, your left, 1 behind the stage, and 1 to my left, your right-hand side. Toilet facilities, if anyone needs, we have a universal toilet just out in the foyer. We have another universal and a ladies and gents. If you go past the door that you came in, past the cafe, and you'll see ladies, gents, and universal toilet down that corridor. Last thing I have to ask about is mobile phones, please, folks. If you have a mobile phone with you tonight, would you either please turn it off or put it to silent, whatever's appropriate to you, just so it doesn't disturb anybody during the evening. That's all that I have to say. I would like to hand you over to Reverend Gary Ball.
Thank you, David. Let's hear it for David there. Well done, David. Thank you. Reverend, I don't get called that very often. You can stop calling me names right now. Guys, I'm on the staff team here, and you're so welcome. Very welcome. Four Corners is very welcome to Orangefield tonight. I really wanted to do the bit that David did, with the airplane style, sort of the doors are there and over the wings, and tell you that there's life jackets under the seats that you may or may not need later on. But look, you're very welcome tonight. On behalf of Orangefield, welcome to Four Corners. And I think that's about all I want to say, apart from you're welcome to Orangefield anytime. And now I'll hand over to somebody that's a bit more skilled and a bit better looking. George Sproul, where are you, sir? Come on. Let's hear it for George. Thank you, George. Enjoy.
Good evening. I am George Sproul. I am one of the organising committee for Four Corners. The Friday night of the festival week is usually one of the nights of the week that we look forward to the most. The conversation and music night has been a feature, that has thrilled us, moved us, taken us to new places each year as we do it, and this year is going to be no exception. The festival this year has been called Stories Towards a Culture of Hope, and there have been a whole raft of things, spoken word, some photographic installations, all of which are about helping us to hear each other's stories and listening to the other, because we're very good at listening to ourselves and not sometimes very good at listening to each other and to the other and hearing what we have to say. So tonight is going to be an exploration through music and conversation about how Trú have done put their music together, what it means to them, how the whole thing has come together. This follows in a long line of folk from a Friday night who we've had the likes of Ricky Ross, Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol. Last year we had Dana Masters sharing from themselves, and it's an extraordinary evening. It takes us to wonderful places. The festival is free, as you have obviously been aware, but it isn't free to us to put on. So we would encourage you to think seriously about maybe becoming a friend of the festival and helping us out that way. You might have found envelopes somewhere about there that you could put a donation into. I'm not going to hammer it. If you've liked what you've heard, throw something in. It would help us enormously. We do have a survey. You do get homework from a Four Corners event. It's like everything you buy, whether it's on Amazon or whatever, you get homework now through email. But if you could fill that in, that helps us enormously to plan the next festivals and to hear what you've had to say about this one, and so that we can do what we do better. I think that's about all I need to really say, other than to say, sit back. This is going to be a belter. It really is. I have been enthralled with the music of this band since Miley first passed the CD my direction. I'm old school, so I need one for the car. But it is wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Trú.
Summer's a pleasant time, flowers of every color, the water runs o'er the stream, and I long for my true lover. I walking home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get none, for thinking of my dearie. When I sleep I dream, when I wake I'm weary, sleep I can get none, for thinking of my dearie. I walking home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get none, for thinking of my dearie. Lonely night comes on, all the lave are sleeping, as I think on my bonny lad, and I blur my eyes weeping. I walking home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get none, for thinking of my dearie. And in the ocean all the fair beauty, our hurry no Kearney rohling gijime, do the man ben the bui, do the man gelach, do the man the faraga, do the man gelach. Ta cian bwy o'r sy dŵl y man gelach, Thygad tu is wel me dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y ben y bwy, dŵl y man gelach, dŵl y man y faraga, dŵl y man gelach. Rhaim wyt cynio'r leis yn dŵl y man gelach, cynwy brog y derer sy dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y ben y bwy, dŵl y man gelach, dŵl y man y faraga, dŵl y man gelach. Ta broga braca dŵr sy dŵl y man gelach, ta barid agos trw sier ma dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y ben y bwy, dŵl y man gelach, dŵl y man y faraga, dŵl y man werach. Hag dyn y cheater sy dŵl y man werach, ig srili dy nîn ma dŵl y man werach, ni wain tu mo nîn sy dŵl y man werach, wel ffwydw I me liammi sy dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y ben y bwy, dŵl y man gelach, dŵl y man y faraga, dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y ben y bwy, dŵl y man werach, dŵl y man y faraga, dŵl y man werach. man na ben na bui, dúla man na sléifte, dúla man na farga, dúla man na jeji, dúla man na ben na bui, dúla man gaelach, dúla man na farga, dúla man werach, dúla man na ben na bui, dúla man gaelach, dúla man na farga, dúla man werach. Good morning.
Good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight to Four Corners. Let me share the idea of tonight. And when Miley came to us to suggest Trú for this year, I think there was a couple of things that made us want to go that direction. First of all, their songs, their story songs, many of them, and that seems to be fitting with the theme. And then the other thing is that you guys are a story. I mean, I look at you, and I've only met a couple of you tonight, and I think about your journey, and I think, my goodness, how did they get together? And so I want to explore that early on this evening. And here's what I want to do, guys. So see if you can listen up. I want to take you on a journey. The first bit, we're going to go individually, and you're going on a journey here where you haven't met the guy to your right or left. Okay, so I'm going to try and take you for a wee while where you haven't met each other, and then we'll have a meeting in a wee while. So could you share with us your name? The reason for that is I have no idea how to pronounce your name, Michael. And then tell us about growing up. Where did you grow up? And what was life like when you were growing up? We'll not get to music yet.
Hello, everybody. My name's Zach Trouton.
And the Trouton fan club are in?
They may well be. I grew up, I play guitar and sing in a band called Trú. I grew up in Ballinderry, County Antrim, if anybody knows that. Lovely part of the world. There we go. And when I was a teenager, Michael moved across the road and we started playing in lots of loud rock and roll bands together, playing a load of riffs. And that was a good time, making lots of noise. And then I joined a group in Dublin. Am I going too fast in the story?
Yeah, you're far too fast.
Yeah. We're going to wind it back.
Well, tell us more about Ballinderry growing up. I mean, Northern Ireland's an interesting place to grow up wherever we grew up. So was that a good place to be?
It was just a load of fields. So a great place to grow up. 3 brothers. And we just walked about. Got into mischief. There was, if you got your hands on an old quad or a ride-on lawnmower, that was good crack. Yeah.
Now we're talking. This is what I wanted.
And so fell into primary school. I think fell into music. Firstly piano, which didn't work out. I burst into tears going into piano. I burst into tears outside my piano teacher's house, and my mum was in the car trying to drag me in to practice my scales, but I was crying and crying, saying no more scales. And then my dad handed me a guitar, and I was like, okay, that's better. I could understand the guitar.
Let me stop you there. But most people have that crying outside the piano teacher's house. I read rock biographies all the time, and that seems to happen. But I think, looking at the beauty of the guitars you brought tonight, you picked the right stuff. Dónal, you moved in across from him. Where were you before that?
That was Michael. I'm Dónal.
Oh, that was Michael. Bless us, I'm well confused, aren't I?
So I'm from Warren Point, County Down, and
Yeah.
yo, yeah, I
Is that
grew
a
up.
yo or a boo? I don't know.
Grew up playing a lot of Gaelic football. Making music in choirs and things, and it was only really when I got into my teenage years I started in a band. So I brought the flute to the band, to the jam, and tried to work its way in. But yeah, so 3 brothers, myself as well, so we did a lot of singing in the back of the car.
Excellent. Michael, you moved in
It was me, yes.
from where?
I did my time in Ballinderry, from Ballymacash. So
Now,
that's where.
here's the thing, Michael. Ballymacash had not come on my radar.
Have you heard of Ballymacash?
Well, this week on the news,
Oh,
there was a football thing happening at Ballymacash. And my father-in-law turned to me and said, "Where's Ballymacash?"
that's the centre of the universe. You should have heard of it.
And here you are to tell us. You're like the missionary that appeared and said, "This is Ballymacash."
No, so it's a small village, if you want, outside Lisburn. There's red, white, and blue curbs, and everyone has the red, white, and blue saucers, cups, and mugs to go. But we were the only house actually in my street, Mornview Park, who never hung a flag, so which was nice. But even though we were trying to blend in, because Dad had been in the army in the 70s, you know, and that's where my man and Dad met, the British soldier and the girl handing out flyers for church, you know that old story. And then me and my sisters were born. So
Wow.
yeah, but my name, yes, Michael Mormecha. Mormecha is a Ukrainian name. My granddad is Ukrainian, so.
We'll come back to Ukraine
yeah.
later because that's important to this as much as our own wee part of the country. Next question, Lou. This guy, he runs at 100 miles an hour. What was the first music that you really thought, "Oh, I love this"? And then tell us about what those early bands that you started to work with, what were they playing?
Well, the first, I have fond memories of that song Love Shack. Who sings that? The B-52s, yeah. Road trips with Love Shack playing. And, but my parents had listened to a wide range of music, a lot of Motown from my mum, and Eagles, and lots of harmonies, and Nina Simone and things like that, and the Beatles, of course. And then sort of rummaging around Dad's CD collection, came across Led Zeppelin 4 in particular. And that's kind of when it all went a bit darker. And it stayed that way ever since.
And so was the first time you and Michael were beginning to think of bands, was it a Zeppelin kind of sound, or?
Well, I was actually a big fan of the band that Mike was in, Mojo Fury, best band from Lisburn. So I was a fan first, and I was playing in my own wee groups and things like that. And yeah, so it was like rocky, shouty, noisy stuff. And then we fell in together and did more of that.
So tell us about being in the best band in Lisburn at the time. I mean, was that straight from school as a teenager you joined that band, or?
Yeah, I suppose shortly after school, going up to Bangor Tech and meeting. Actually, this week, the 4th of February 2004, me and the 3 guys that I spent the next 12 years of my life with, playing rock and roll, we had our first practice in Bangor, so it's a special date. So. But yeah, no, I continued doing that and travelled around Europe and finally got away out of Lisburn, out of Ballymacash, doing the rock and roll. So yeah, and then Zach joined and yeah.
What was it like when they asked you to join Zach? Go on, you were chuffed.
Well, it's joining your favorite band, you know, it's everybody's dream.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, first music, you talked about church. Obviously, the Four Corners is a kind of crosses the boundaries, and there will be many in here tonight who started singing in church, probably altar boy, that type of thing. Is that the first sounds, and then what else?
Well, I remember listening to a lot of the Beatles. I remember Sgt. Pepper. We had a CD, as my mum and dad are big into the Beatles, and Joni Mitchell, her earlier albums, Ladies of the Canyon and Blue, and then I remember OK Computer, Radiohead had a massive influence. Probably having older brothers helped, and then Kid A was amazing when it came out. They were the sort of big memories. But yeah, I spent a lot of time singing in an Irish language choir in his church in Rostrevor, Cor Cashlan Ruri, Cornano Cashlan Ruri. It was all people my age, and we got to go to Malta, we went to Madrid, and we sang every Sunday morning. And it was, yeah, great way to just sing because you're with your friends and you're catching up. And yeah, that was brilliant.
And that's why, being from down there, that Tommy Sands appears with you in a video Did you know Tommy quite a bit? Or
Yeah, Tommy is from Mayor Bridge, but he lives in Rostraver. So yeah, it's a very tight-knit community there. But it was maybe a bit later that I sort of really went into like modern folk music. It was more the really old traditional stuff that we were singing in the choir, like melodies that were 300 years old. But you don't really think about that when you're 13. You just sing.
so you guys are in a band together then, Michael and Zach. When did you meet your man here?
We met on a bus errand down to Dublin. I think you got on at Newry,
Sprucefield.
Sprucefield. And we locked eyes and, we were both going down to sing. We both joined a choir in Dublin. And that's where we met.
And when you met, did you think, oh, we could do something musical? Or how long did it take before the three of you decided there was something going on?
Well, Zach and I were rehearsing together every week for years, and we went on tour to Canada and Japan, and we went to China and all over Europe. So we were making music in this group and doing recordings in Sony studios in Tokyo and all these kinds of things. And Zach would always have his guitar with him. So it was really like in airports, hotel rooms, green rooms that we started putting stuff together, just, working out songs that we liked, mostly folk songs. And Zach and Mike were making music at the time back at home. So, yeah, we sort of worked out, it might be nice to get us all in the room.
And when you got on the room, I was saying to you earlier, I'm thinking of that first night that Crosby and Stills sing a song, and Graham Nash says, "Sing it again," and he sings that third harmony, and they think they have discovered, which they had, something absolutely beautiful. At what stage, because your harmonies, those of us who were in earlier on and then hearing that first song that you sang, the harmonies are amazing. When did you realize that this was what you wanted to do in the direction you wanted to take?
Well, actually, the Dúlaman, the second song that we played for you, was one of the first that we connected. We connected and rehearsed that in those early rehearsals, And actually, I thought I was just filling in until the lads found, someone who was going to do it on a more permanent basis with them. So, and then it just sort of stuck whenever we sort of actually sounds quite good. But then for me, approaching this music, I'd never really, I love all sorts of music, and especially the folkier side of, say, Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the harmony. But I think that's where we all meet, and say, having the Eagles and the Beatles. But then coming from Ballymacash, I'd never heard really traditional Irish music. In fact, if you had a green pencil in school, you were a wee Fenian, never mind listening to Dúlaman. What's a Dúlaman, And so it was a really fascinating treasure trove opened in front of me, and even still now, it's working with the lads, discovering song after song and going back further in history to find these beautiful, and even this is 300 years old or so.
You took me back there. I worked in Antrim for a while in a church, and I went into the local community centre, and the guy who was running it said that he couldn't get the kids to use green paint. Yeah. And I said, "What do they do with the grass?" And he said, "Well, they just don't. The grass is just white." So that's how deeply ingrained it is. It's a long way from there to be singing in Irish. And if you don't mind, I expected Dónal to be fluent with that, but you did really well in that. So is that something that you've had to learn with the songs, or is the Irish language something you've...
The first few gigs, I had it sort of phonetically written on my drum here, so I was looking down going...
It's not easy to sing phonetically, though, Mike. That's a skill in itself.
Yeah, but, it's actually just as beautiful not known, because then the Irish language has become like another instrument to me starting to understand more now, but it's still early days in terms of singing and understanding it, but it's become a new texture and musical.
It's great. It's great. I think that that's part of the story that we have here, that there's this blend of the cultures outside of the music as well as what you're doing that inside the music. And that's got to be, it was really interesting. We had Altan played in Fitzroy recently, and I had no idea how that actual event meant so much to so many people that we had an Irish trad band in the Presbyterian Church. So what you're doing definitely contributes to that. And of course, you've come about a time of real uncertainty in Northern Ireland. Do you feel that when you're playing your music, or?
Well, that first rehearsal in Ballinderry was in 2017, so that's how long we've been singing together, and lots changed since then. So that's very much been a backdrop of us making the music, and I suppose that sense of identity, very strong sense of place in the songs, whether it's a song from the Louth coast in the 1700s or a song from South Armagh from the 1800s, or a new song from County Down written in the 80s. These all give us a sense of who we are, and that was very much a theme when we're doing anything. It's actually become a big question for us as a band. Who are we, and how do we choose to express it? And it's great that we have this space with this beautiful crowd here, where we have a space, thanks to this festival, to say what we're saying.
And more than that, Michael, Ukraine, your grandfather, your name. I was just thinking tonight in the news, Putin was on the news and I was getting angry again, and I thought, really, we've put that way down the news and it's still there. But you've been working a wee bit and some stuff in Ukraine. Could you tell us about that?
I mean, the word and idea of Ukraine has always been in our family, but I'm sure for most people up until 2020, you know, and then it was like all of a sudden the whole world was looking at it, and it sort of ignited a lot of, I suppose a bit of heritage and questions of patriotism in terms, or just being proud of who Grandad was and how he ended up in the UK after the war. And so, yeah, I mean, those were crazy times, and some friends and I just jumped in a van and did a few humanitarian aid runs out there, and that was an unfortunate first way to visit, you know, a country that part of my blood comes from, but equally amazing to be able to step up and do something like that. You know.
Fantastic. Well done. And it must seep into the music at some stage.
Yeah, well, actually, not long after we came back, Trú worked on a beautiful Ukrainian folk song called Play Kacha, which is the lament of a mother missing her son who's gone off to war. So very
Space, and
fitting, and yeah.
It'll be on an album near us soon. Yeah. Let me go back. I'm going to finish and let you sing. So we didn't sing in between. You can sing 3 songs for us, which we'll enjoy very much. Eternity Near. You know, what I do for a living, that could be a phrase of mine. What did you mean? It's a fascinating title, and it makes sense to me, really. But where did Eternity Near come from, and what do you think that is, if you have thought about it?
Well, it's a line. The actual word comes from a line in the first track, Long Black Veil, where the man's standing on the gallows about to swing for something he didn't do. And just that line, you know, when you're recording for an album, you're it's always in the back of your mind, what's this album going to be called? And then as the songs kind of came together and certain themes sort of pop up, and that line, or those 2 words, seem to summarize what we were looking at, would you say?
I think there was a spirituality in it, for sure. I mean, that scene in Long Black Veil, which is a 50s country song, you probably know it. Johnny Cash did a great version. Ours sounds very different, but it's sort of looking beyond what's here in that moment where he's about to be killed for a crime he didn't commit. But there are also songs like Ashling, a visitation song written in the 1800s from the Irish tradition. There's a ghost that appears in the Long Black Veil as well. So there's all these things that are of another world, as well as, you know, some of the changeling stories and some of the other stuff like the Selkie, which is also on the album. So it's looking beyond life towards eternity, but also looking beyond the world towards other worlds. That was kind of where it came from.
Okay, my last chance, then I'll sit down. Miley will take you through. Trú. 3 musician poets from ancient Ulster. Okay, let's hold that. I live with an Irish, Janice, my wife's cousin's an Irish speaker, and I said to him last night, as I was obviously in deep research, you can understand. I said, "True, Timothy, what does that mean?" He said, "You know, I don't honestly know." And he looked it up and it said, "doomed person." So which do you think it is, guys?
Well, yeah, I'll have to get that definition, find out where he did his research. But yeah, this idea, the true, is kind of this idea of the trio, and there's a mythological trio where made up of an elder, a younger, and someone in the middle. So when the elder passed on, the one in the middle would become the elder, and they would find a new younger. So this trio was unbroken for centuries. And the whole idea of passing down the wisdom, the songs, the poetry, because in Irish history, the Filiach, the Fila, they were the poets, but they were like the philosophers to the king and the queens, and they were very much at the apex of society. And as we know, art holds all knowledge and wisdom anyway. So it's an old idea, but it is something that, you know, when we travel, people see Ireland with this sense of like you're all mystical poets running around and doing dances. But
Excellent. Well, share with us some of those stories. Sing us a couple or three songs.
thanks a million, folks. So we're sort of responding to where it's going, and we'll sing one from you, one that's the title track of the new album, that Long Black Veil, which is a song from the 50s, written by Mary John, and she wrote it to tell the story of this man who was committed to, sentenced to hang for something he didn't do. And this is something we wanted to take to show that we do have a sense of ourselves in Ireland, and we sing Scottish songs, but you know, a good country song is hard to beat too. And why wouldn't we sing it? Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. 10 years ago, on a cold, dark night, there was someone killed by the town hall lights. There were few at the scene, but they all did agree that the man who ran looked a lot like me. The judge said, "Son, what's your alibi? If you were someplace else, then you won't have to die." But I said not a word, though it meant my life, for I laid in the arms of my best friend's wife. She walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave as the night winds wail. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. The scaffold was high and eternity near. She stood in the crowd, but she did not shed a tear. And sometimes at night, when the cold
over my bones. She walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave as the night winds wave. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. So a lot of our songs have, as you can tell, a lot of history to them. They've been sung for centuries in many cases, whether they're Irish language songs or Scots Gaelic or indeed Ukrainian songs. But we also love the poetry of Robert Burns, and we can't get away from the amazing songs in his repertoire. So every now and again we whip one of those out. And this next one was a song that Michael got in the poetry book when he was up climbing Ben Nevis during COVID.
Yeah. Had to escape whenever we could over the strange past few years, and yeah, took the first chance to go and drive up around the Highlands, which was a really beautiful experience. Highly recommend it, apart from the midges. So if you ever go, take an old net with you. But on the way up, yeah, I called into to Robbie Burns' house in Alloway, where he was born, and it's actually closed. But I hopped over the fence anyway, because I just had to go in and see if I could feel the man himself, and got a wee tap on the shoulder, and the ghost of Robbie said, "Do this tune." And I was like, all right. So here we go. My love is like a red, red rose, newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody, sweetly played in tune. You're so fair, my lovely lass, so deep in love am I. Thank you very much. I'm going to stay in Scotland, I think.
This is a song for making jumpers too.
That's true, actually. Thank you.
Hello. Is this one? It's on. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Hello, everyone. So I'm Miley. I'm also on the planning committee. And so when I heard Trú, I was like, oh my word, I am plugging these guys so hard because I am such a huge fan. So I'm here to talk about, so Steve kind of brought you through you guys' stories, and I'm here to talk about what stories you choose for your music. So given that you're drawing from, I don't know, a few centuries worth of catalog, do you guys have a criteria, specific types of music, specific like parameters that make it a true song? Like, how do you choose?
We have a long list of hundreds of songs that could be. And then we just listen to them, and if something just pricks the ear, or if there's some story that we think would be, or is relevant in our life today, or, yeah, it's just if it seems to fit with what we're doing, or then we'll take it.
There's a few different routes in. Sometimes it might be a lyric that's just earth-shattering, and we have to delve into it. Sometimes it's an amazing version, a recorded song that we know from an album that we love, good old folk song. Or sometimes it's just, you stumble on it in a singing session and you just like, what is that? And you search it down, track it down. But often, you know, we would try stuff and maybe it doesn't work. It's not that it always works. So we have to try it in the room as well.
Yeah, so did you say earth-shattering? What example, please, of an earth-shattering lyric?
Yeah, I always think of A Fan Kiss, the Robbie Burns song. I mean, it's an amazing song to listen to, but if you read the words, it's just the best rendition of heartbreak that I've ever read. So, if they could do it in the 1790s, then time has no relevance for a lot of this stuff, and that's why the folk songs are so powerful. And there is a reason that they get sung generation after generation after generation. So yeah, F1 Kiss is up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to dial in more specifically. So also as a plug for these guys, they have a podcast called The Truecast. So if you really want to hear more about the stories behind the songs, because I could talk about these all day, I'm only going to choose 3. You're welcome. So first of all, the second song you sang, Dúlaman, right? Catchy, lovely, singing along. And then I went to a gig and you explained the story behind it. Can you tell us the story, Dónal, of what that song's about?
Yeah, so Dúlaman, it's a word in the Irish language. It means seaweed or the seaweed man, like the seaweed vendor. So it's about this tradition, this culture of men who would fish on the coast, usually of County Louth, Dundalk Bay, I think where this song came from. They would go to the market towns. So in the 19th century, Dundalk, Newry, Belfast were big market towns. People would travel from all over. Kind of similar now. They would come to these towns and sell their wares. But there was a particular set of Dúlaman from Dundalk who would steal away, abduct the daughters. So I think this one is about going to Urkentra, which is Newry. So they would find local girls and abduct them, and until all their stuff was sold, the girl wouldn't reappear. So this is a historical record, but it makes its way into the song. But you wouldn't ever know from the jaunty melody. And it was the Clannad version that we latched onto. And thanks to the research of people like Padraig Niulachan about these songs, we have these stories.
Yeah, amazing. So that was one of my favorites. Like, oh, that's a bit different than I anticipated. So another song I want to talk to you about that you'll sing next. There's a book that I read recently. It's a novel that just came out in 2021, I think, called Sister Song by Lucy Holland. And it took me about halfway through the book before I realized, oh, this is the same song that Trú sings and that other people have sang. And it's a song about 2 sisters, as you imagine. So can you tell us the story behind that and then what drew you to that song in particular?
Yeah, well, 2 sisters, sometimes you hear it at singing sessions. In fact, you hear it all the time at singing sessions because it's such a big song. It's one of the oldest recorded, so they date it back to at least 500-600 years, maybe even longer than that. And it is, it has lots of different versions. And the version we heard and sort of inspired us was the Clannad version again. So Clannad had a big influence. As I'm sure anyone has heard Clannad, they were amazing what they were doing in the 70s. And the song is about a banquet hall, and the king and queen are there, all the nobles. A harper comes in, starts playing, starts entertaining, and starts singing this song, and it tells about the murder of a princess. So the king and queen look over to the table and they notice that only one of their daughters is there, one is missing, and the harper continues to sing the song. I won't spoil it for you, but it's amazing that it's lasted for so long. But it's one of the first songs in the Child catalogue. So Child is an archivist, a researcher who catalogued all these old songs. So it goes way back.
Absolutely. And the fact that these stories are resonating with artists across the mediums, right? You have novels being written and films being made. So when you're thinking about when you started in trad music, what is it about these stories that you think resonates today, so many centuries later?
Well, you could be, in 2024, you could be walking down the street and thinking that you're very clever and very unique in your opinions on things, and then you read something that somebody's written 500 years ago, and you're like, that's exactly how I think. And then you're like, it doesn't, like Dónal said earlier, time becomes irrelevant with this when it comes down to, I suppose, just human experience. We all, the big themes never leave us: love, loss, think they're the big ones.
Just sadness. Sadness. Yes.
Happiness too.
Yeah, happiness too, hope. So then the other song that I want to talk to you about, so this was one of my favorites on your first album, listened to it on repeat, and then quoted it in my PhD thesis. So thank you for that. So my PhD thesis, for context, looking at young people in Northern Ireland, how they identify and how they make sense of themselves and their identities after Brexit, after conflict, all of this. And Rebel Song, just the first stanza from Rebel Song resonated so deeply with what I was hearing from my friends, from my participants in my data, and it just felt so poignant and so relevant. Can you tell us the history of that song, the lyrical choices that you all made? Like, did you adjust this song to update it? What was your journey with Rebel Song?
Yeah, so Rebel Song is a real folk song, so it's based on centuries of other songs, and that's folk music. This one is based on a melody which could be 18th century or earlier. The Merry Month of May is one title of the melody itself, but it sort of came into its own in the 20th century, in the 50s, when Dominic Behan penned lyrics to it, set it to text, and it became a very popular folk song called The Patriot Game. And then that was taken on by the Clancy brothers, who took America by storm in the 60s with their iron jumpers. And a wee fella called Bobby Dylan heard it, and he did his own version, but he, in true Dylan style, wrote his own take on it. And that was an anti-Vietnam War song, and called God on Our Side. And so we know that this song has so much power to reach not only these great artists, but all these people who follow this melody and the stories within it. So we decided just to write a few words, and we borrowed a little from Yeats and from Behan and from Dylan, rolled it in, and then rewrote the song. But it has all those traditional elements, but it also, we added elements to it as well. But really, it's all about the simplicity of what we're trying to say. So yeah, we were delighted to be able to sing it in the Ulster Hall when we were nominated for Best Album at the Northern Ireland Music Prize, and that was a really poignant moment, because that was 2021. So just, yeah, that, like you're saying, there's a sense of, there are questions out there, so.
Yeah, so then this brings me to my last question before I let you get on. So Trú, right, these storytellers of old. This is a big responsibility you've taken on yourselves, right, to be the Trú of our modern era. So what do you think your role is as storytellers for this generation? You know, you all are young and speaking into this public space. What are the roles of stories, but also your role as storytellers?
Well, you can just only go on your own experience, I suppose, and trust that your own experience is the experience of others. And going back to Rebel Song, I think Dónal once described it as a rebel song against the whole world. And I like that idea of how not wanting to be in this life, in this part of the world, not wanting to be one thing or the other, or feeling like a million different things. And we just, I suppose, tell stories true to that idea, and that seems to guide us.
Yeah, well, also to get the chance even to get your hands on something that's already stood the test of time, and support it with even how we approach things musically, you know, to hear a 600-year-old song with a gritty electric guitar it's fresh for us, and then we're maybe just supporting it to be passed on, hopefully for the next 100 years or so. That's quite special.
And also, they're not fragile things, you know, because if you want to take a song and totally mess it up, that's fine too.
Amazing. Well, I won't keep you all. So welcome back to the musical stage, Trú.
Sisters side by side, sing I dum, sing I day. There were two sisters side by side, the boys are bound for me. There were two sisters side by side. The eldest one for Johnny cried, I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. Johnny got the youngest a gay gold ring. Sing I dum, sing I day. Johnny got the youngest a gay gold ring. The boys are buying for me. Johnny bought the youngest a gay gold ring. He never got the eldest a single thing. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. Walking by the foamy brim, sing I dum, sing I day. As they went walking by the foamy brim, the boys are buying for me. As they went walking by the foamy brim, the eldest pushed the youngest in. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. Sister, oh sister, give me your hand. Sing I dum, sing I day. Sister, oh sister, give me your hand. The boys are buying for me. Sister, oh sister, give me your hand. You can have Johnny and all his land. Sister, I will not give you my hand, but I'll still take Johnny and all his land. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. The youngest drifted down to the miller's dam. Sing I dum, sing I day. The youngest drifted down to the miller's dam. The youngest drifted down to the miller's dam, where a harper spider by the land. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. A harp out of her breastbone, sing I dum, sing I day. He made a harp out of her breastbone, the boys are buying for me. He made a harp out of her breastbone, its song would melt the heart of stone. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true to me. I'll be true unto my love if he'll be true. Cheers.
Thanks, folks. So we're gonna go to the coastline now for this next one. This is one I mentioned earlier, the song of the Selkie. Does anyone know what a Selkie is? Hands up. So along the coastline of Ireland, all the way up the west coast of Scotland, all the way up to Iceland and Norway, this creature exists. This creature that swims in the sea, but also walks on land. And this is a song from the last 300 years. There's so many versions of it. This is a Selkie song. The bib for 7 years till he returns from whence he came. Though this wee boy, his heart beat cold, a local girl raised him as her own. Around his neck he wore a chain of gold, and he swam away for
7 years old. Young O'Keefe, feeling the seas pull strong. Young O'Keefe, singing a Selkie song. To a gunner then, the girl was wed, with autumn colors seeping and bleeding red. October moon, all full of gin. He held his gun against his chin. At young O'Keefe, he took his aim, the golden chin, while he blew it free. She said, "What have you done?" He was my son. I hunt the people of the sea. Young O'Keefe, feeling the seas pull strong. Young O'Keefe, singing a Selkie song. Young O'Keefe, feeling the seas pull strong. Young O'Keefe, singing a Selkie song. Singing a Selkie song. Singing a Selkie song.
We have some prints outside with a lovely selkie on them and a red rose and some other stuff and CDs and vinyls if you want to take some of this home with you. So you're very welcome to come say hello afterwards. Thank you.
Oh, my name, it is nothing. My age, it means less. The country I come from is caught in distress. Its name is disputed. It depends when you've cried, while the smoke at the border, it blows on both sides. On all these young rebels, this irony is lost. A beauty born terrible, and worse was the cost. Looking up at the stars, do they see flags that fly? Laying there in the graveyards with God on their side. Laying there in the graveyards with God on their side. With the speed of the flame, we are caught in the patriot game. By the rivers and shucks where the singing birds flew, the frontier is creeping into our view, and it soon won't be long before the lies are exchanged, and the people will fight instead of complain. Yes, the people will fight instead of complain. the speed of a flame. We are caught in the Patriot game. 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 We are caught in the Patriot game.
Thank you. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you to Steve, Miley, George, David, and everybody at Four Corners for having us. Do you just want another wee song?
It's an absolute pleasure to be in this room this evening and to be part of this festival. You heard the names that have been involved in this show for the last few years, so it's a real honor for us. It's our first show of 24 as well, so thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to sing another one as Gaeilge. This is an Aisling song where the poet is confronted by a supernatural being, a spervan, a spirit woman. And this was written after the poet wakes up blinded by the dawning light in the 18th century with a hangover and sees this beautiful, startlingly beautiful woman who starts to lure him away from the human world. This is another one of those amazing lyrics, and it is one of the big songs of Ulster. So this is Urchil a Cragan.
Mater has an yeld of Rome, agus iri and happy agus astrium rise go cheery as the mala nach ur gallu in chirem foil Siorienes na ali da valer shins kjoi Chadal meir fuivron Mike. Thank you, folks. We'll finish and let you out of this room. We already heard the name of a great man earlier on, Tommy Sands, and this is a song that was alongside Dúlaman, one of the very first that we put together. It was where we really found our voices together, and this comes from it's a modern song, and often when we sing it, people are surprised to hear it was written in the 90s. And it has just that real timeless quality to it, so instantly a classic. And we've sung it at every gig we've ever done. So we share it with you as a thank you for coming out this evening. And thanks again so much to the festival. What an amazing festival. Thank you, Four Corners. We'll see you outside at the merch table. Have a wee chat with you, all right? Ihoi. When you're out walking and there's no one near you, but a voice keeps calling and you hear your name. It's not the leaves or the whispering breezes, it's me that's calling back again. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me as you roam through lonely London town? When evening's falling, you'll hear me calling. Come on home to the county down. Do you remember the fiddlers playing and the songs and stories all night long? Well, it's little then that you thought of leaving. It seems so strange now that you're gone. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me as you roam through lonely fish are dancing in Clanrye River, and the teams are sporting in Oakland Vale. But my heart no longer can lead a cheering when you're not playing. It's a different game. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me as you roam through lonely London town? When evening's falling, you'll hear me calling. Come on home to the county down. I'm always dreaming that things are changing and that they're building a factory tall, and young ones needed again you, 'cause I still need you the most of all. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me as you roam through lonely London town? When evening's falling, you'll hear me calling. Come on home to the county down. Come on home to the county down. Come on home to the county down. Up, down.
On your feet!
Thank you. Slán, thank you so much, folks.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Just to remind you, the festival's free, but it costs us, if you know what I mean. If you want to become a friend of the festival, that would be great. You may find an envelope. Fill out the questionnaires, not just for us, though they do become pie charts within a couple of weeks of the festival, thanks to Megan. It's important for our funders that we have those and we can tell them what we do. Oh, a few events still left. If you want a long walk, you can go on the waiting list. But if you're a knitter, there's knitting tomorrow afternoon, so look that one up. And events tomorrow night and on Sunday, and you're welcome to those. But and you're going straight to buy that, or you're not, and they're not going to have enough. So you're going to have to be first or 21st in the queue to get these albums to take home tonight. But one last huge thank you. You don't have another song in you, do you? One, he is so greedy. True.
We can give you a Belfast song to leave you. Well, it's controversial. Wouldn't be like this. This song is either from the heathers of the Highlands or from the bars of Belfast. So you can tell us afterwards what you think. But we might need you to sing along. You might know what it is, but this is his parting gift. Thank you so much again. Thanks to everybody back to Tech Team. Been streaming, live streaming tonight. So hello to Mummy back home.
Hello, Internet. You all right? Thanks, folks.
is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme blows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme from around the blooming heather. I will build my love a tower 'neath yon pure crystal fountain, and on it I will eat all the flowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme from around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie? Will you go? And if my true love won't come with me, then I'm sure to find another to pluck wild mountain thyme from around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme from around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie? Will you go?
Good night, folks.
Thank you so much.